Okay, let's dive into this. Today, we are essentially hacking the operating system of traditional Chinese medicine. Now, I know for a lot of people, this entire system can feel tangled up in ancient, poetic, and frankly, kind of inaccessible language. But today, we are totally stripping away that confusion to uncover the incredibly logical, minimalist framework hiding right beneath the surface.
Think about the word qi. It's undoubtedly the most misunderstood term in this entire field, right? We're always asking ourselves, is it the air we breathe? Is it some mystical, unseen cosmic energy? Or maybe it's a specific physical particle inside the body? Our source text points out a massive trap we all fall into. Modern people wrongly try to force ancient concepts into modern physical or mystical boxes. We try to replace the word qi with modern terms like matter or energy, and when we do that, we completely lose its original meaning. Because in reality, it's actually neither of those things.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll establish what qi actually is. Then we'll look at how it moves, the manifestation process, how this applies to treating illness, and finally, translating that TCM context for the modern world.
Starting right off with Section 1. What is qi? The fundamental foundation of life.
Now, there is a totally crucial distinction we have to make here between reality itself and the tools we use to describe it. If you've looked into TCM at all, you've definitely heard of yin and yang, or the 5 elements. And it's so easy to get overwhelmed thinking these are all separate, competing magical forces fighting it out in your body. But they aren't. We have ontology on one side, the fundamental reality, which is qi, and on the other side we have methodology. Yin-yang and the 5 elements are not physical things competing with qi. They are literally just classification tools. Think of them as human-made filing systems used to describe how qi behaves. Basically, qi is the ocean itself, while yin and yang are just the words we invented to describe high tide and low tide.
So, what exactly is it? Qi is defined as the one fundamental existence. It is the absolute underlying basis for all movement, change, and life activity. It is absolutely not an outside force pushing things around, and it's definitely not some isolated little particle you can extract from the body and go look at under a microscope. It is a monistic, dynamic order. At this purely foundational level, it isn't even bound by ordinary space and time, because those are just the dimensions where qi eventually manifests. It is the raw potential and existence from which every specific biological function emerges.
Which brings us to this absolutely beautiful ancient quote. Qi gathers to live, qi disperses to die. And you know, this isn't just an abstract poetic metaphor. Think of a whirlpool in a flowing river. It's a dynamic order, right? The actual water molecules are constantly changing and moving, but the shape of the whirlpool remains intact as long as that underlying order is maintained. The second the river stops flowing, the whirlpool disperses, and that is life. It's a continuous ordered system that only exists as long as its dynamic order is actively maintained.
Moving right along to Section 2. How qi moves. The 4 dimensions.
Here's the kicker. Qi is never static. When it moves, it operates in 4 fundamental dimensions. You've got ascending and descending, which dictate the direction of movement, entering and exiting, which manage the exchange with the outside world, opening and closing, which handle boundary regulation, and finally, gathering and dispersing, which manage the concentration and distribution of resources. But remember our ground rule from earlier, these are absolutely not 4 different types of qi. They are just 4 dimensions of observing the exact same operating system in motion.
Let's make this super concrete, because this is happening in your body right this second. Ascending and descending, your spleen energy rises to distribute nutrients, while your stomach energy descends to, well, pass waste. Entering and exiting is simply your continuous daily exchange with the world, breathing in, eating food. Opening and closing, think about your pores opening up to sweat during a heavy gym session, and then closing back up when you finally hit the couch to preserve your body heat. And gathering and dispersing is all about resource allocation. Blood gathers in your gut after a huge meal and then disperses out to your muscles when you go for a run. By connecting these ancient terms to highly relatable biological functions, we can totally bridge the gap between ancient observation and modern open system physics.
All right, Section 3, the manifestation process, from root to reality.
Our source outlines a really strict, logical chain reaction here. Step 1 is qi itself, that fundamental existence. Now, when it moves, we get step 2, the qi mechanism, which is its actual movement state or trend. That movement inevitably forces changes and conversions, like digesting your food, for example, which is step 3, qi transformation. These transformations naturally trigger reactions elsewhere in the biological system, bringing us to step 4, resonance, creating these continuous, brilliant feedback loops. Finally, this whole cascading process results in step 5, manifestation. This is the visible world. It's the physical body, the symptoms we can actually see, touch, and feel. It is a strictly logical A leads to B leads to C cascade.
And honestly, this completely nails the core philosophy of TCM. All of the dizzying complexity we see on the surface, the intricate organs, the wild emotions, the complex diseases, literally the entire universe is just the final stage of this one single, elegant process. One fundamental existence, moving, transforming, resonating, and finally, manifesting.
Which perfectly tees up Section 4, treating illness, observing the surface to fix the root.
The diagnostic logic here is just fascinating. Think about it. A doctor cannot see qi directly. Nobody can. Instead, they observe what the text calls xiang, the manifestations. This means they are carefully looking at your pulse, your tongue, your sleep patterns, your body temperature, even your emotions. These surface symptoms are absolutely not the enemy to be blindly attacked and suppressed. They are crucial clues. A good doctor uses these clues to deduce exactly where the underlying qi mechanism, that ascending, descending, opening, or closing we just talked about, has actually become unbalanced. So treating illness in this system means fixing the underlying software error to restore the entire dynamic order, rather than just slapping a Band-Aid over an isolated hardware symptom.
And finally, Section 5, translating TCM context using the Z-Gen methodology. It is honestly amazing how beautifully these ancient concepts map directly onto modern systems theory. When an ancient text says qi mechanism, you can literally translate that in your mind to a system's dynamic operating state. Qi transformation is essentially the system's metabolic process. Resonance perfectly describes biological triggers, responses, and feedback loops. And yin-yang, that is simply a basic binary classification model. The source stresses that this contextual shift does not mean we are lazily replacing words or changing the science. We are just translating the framework from ancient observation to modern systems theory so it clicks perfectly for us today without losing a single drop of its original meaning.
This really brings us to the ultimate minimalist summary of this entire explainer. Qi is existence, Sheng is manifestation, Fa is the tool. Qi is the fundamental reality. Sheng are the visible symptoms and phenomena we observe, and Fa, the tools like yin-yang, the 5 elements, and various medical treatments, are simply the methods we use to understand and correct the system. Once you mentally separate the reality from the appearance from the tools we use to describe them, the whole system suddenly makes perfect, logical sense. We have covered a massive paradigm shift today, moving from what felt like confusing, mystical jargon to a sleek, highly logical operating system of the human body. So, now that you have this translation key in your hands, how will you view the dynamic order of your own body differently? The next time you have a headache or a stomach ache, are you just going to look at the surface? Or will you stop and ask what underlying mechanism is actually out of balance? Thank you so much for your focus and curiosity today. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.